Welcome to my madness, ladies and gentlemen. Today, going to be a little bit of a long video. That's okay. We're going to be having some fun, and I hope you guys will let me know in the comment section down below what you think of all this stuff right here. The idea behind today's video is to rank every single Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure ever. And I want to know what you guys' favorite Marvel Legends Build-A-Figures are. Leave like your top 5 or something down in the comment section down below if you want to do that, because I'd love to hear what you guys think is absolutely the best. Because, of course, this is just my opinion. That's it. And this is just for fun, and your opinion may be completely different, and that's cool, because ultimately what it comes down to is whatever you enjoy. And that's really it. That's all you have to worry about. You ain't got to worry about me, but maybe you'd be interested to see what I think of all these different Marvel Legends that we have here. All these different Build-A-Figures. I believe there's 98 total that have been released since Marvel Legends has been a thing. And we should have them here. Is it 96, 98? I don't even know anymore, but it's a lot. And so we're going to take some time and kind of rank these. Now, I'm going to go by fairly quick. I'm not going to spend too much time on any one of them just because, again, a lot of them. But we're going to kind of go through and have a little bit of fun. Of course, we are over here on the Tier Maker website. As you guys can see, I've got them ranked out as Legend, Great, Solid, Lacking, and Poop. Just absolute poop. And you guys know what that means. It's just a crap Build-A-Figure. No reason to have it. Shouldn't have been made in the first place. That kind of thing. So that's what we're going to do. So let's just go ahead and jump right in and start with this one right here. Here we have, and we're going to just leave it here for now. This is the Gamerverse Abomination. Is this the Gamerverse one? I can't remember which Abomination. No, this is the comic book one, I think. The Abomination. Anyway, coincidentally enough, I'm going to leave this one right here at Solid. I think it's a good, solid Build-A-Figure. I don't think it's great, but I think it's solid. It's certainly not lacking. It's certainly not crap. But is it great or legend? No, I don't think so. So we're going to leave that one right there. And coincidentally, I believe this is the Gamerverse version of that Abomination figure. And I'm going to put this in the same place. I don't think it's top tier or even like great, but I do think it's solid. I think both of these Abomination figures are solid Build-A-Figures that anyone would be lucky to have in their collection. And yeah, we'll just leave it at that. Now we're going to go for Absorbing Man. Absorbing Man. Now, I really, really like this figure, and I really wish these were bigger. I know they're not. This is what we have to work with, so there you go. We're just going to have to deal with it. But this Abomination figure, or excuse me, this Absorbing Man Build-A-Figure, I think is a little bit of a step above. I honestly do. I know not everybody thinks it is, but I think it's great. I think this is the best representation of Absorbing Man we've ever gotten was in that Build-A-Figure. I think it's really, really good, and I really, really like this figure. Now, of course, we get to Annihilus. Now, this one's kind of hard to judge because objectively, the figure isn't great. It's an older figure. It's got some articulation issues and everything. But then again, it's the only Annihilus figure we have in the 6-inch scale in the Marvel Legends line. And that kind of bumps it up a little bit. I do think it's definitely solid. Might be great. Not legendary. Not legendary. Sorry, guys, if you think it is. But I don't think it is. But I'm going to give it a little bit of a push just because of the fact that it's the only Annihilus we have. It is highly sought after, and it is a great character that I think, especially for a Fantastic Four collection, is something you absolutely have to have. Then we get to the original Toy Biz, and look, it cuts their head off when I try to put these in here. But this is the original Toy Biz Apocalypse. For me, I love this figure. I think it is the best Apocalypse figure that has ever come out of the Toy Biz line, and I've got to say, especially for its size, it is definitely a legend. It's just a fantastic figure. Yes, it's got some old ball joints and things like that, but the paint, the sculpt work, and the size on this thing just make it fantastic. I mean, honestly, just fantastic. Then we get to the Apocalypse Build-A-Figure that Hasbro put out here a few years ago. I would say this is a great Apocalypse. It is not, in my opinion, you may disagree, it is not as good as the Apocalypse from the Toy Biz era, but I still think it is a really, really good figure. Then we get to Ares. I really like this one. However, They improved on this when they put out just the regular release, not the Build-A-Figure version. And so, I mean, really, they're really, really similar. They're slightly different, but really, really similar. Mostly it's just deco, and I think the deco on the regular release is considerably better. I do think it's a good figure, but there's nothing really that pops or stands out about it, to be honest. Like, it's a good figure. I'm glad that I have it in my collection, but the regular release is much better with the deco, and it does suffer from some older joints and things like that. So I'm going to put this one in lacking. Not by much. It is still fairly solid, but slightly lacking. Then we get to Armadillo. I think this is a great figure. I think the sculpting on this thing looks absolutely amazing. I think it's a really, really good Build-A-Figure. I think they did a great job on that one. And then, of course, we get Armored Thanos. This is good. It's not great, and I'll be honest, I'm going to let my bias sink in here because I'm going to put it into lacking. I'm not real big on the MCU figures. I mean, they're okay. I have a decent collection of them, but in general, the MCU stuff doesn't really do it for me, to be honest. I know some people may disagree. That's fine. If your flavor is MCU stuff, I get it. Mine isn't, so for me, it's a little bit lacking just from that standpoint. Then we get to Armanzola. Armanzola. I think this is a good figure. It's an older figure, but I think it's really well done. I don't know. I think I'm gonna leave it in solid. However, I could easily make the case that it is great, but I don't know if that's just because that's the only Armanzola that we've gotten so far. And it is really good. Look, it's solid. Hands down, it's solid. And you could certainly make the case that it's great, but for now, we're gonna leave that one in solid. Then we've got Attuma from the from the Black Panther or Wakanda Forever movie. This is poop. This is a crap figure. I'm sorry. Attuma, they should have just done a comic version, or at least tried to make the version that was in the movie look more like the comic version and be bigger and more imposing, because Attuma is a huge badass character, and this is just crap. I didn't like this version of Attuma in the movie, and I don't like this version of the toy. I'm sorry. No, it's not good. All right, so then we get to the Blob here. Blob is a great figure, and I would argue, even though I know this is personal opinion, I actually like this version of Blob better than that new version of Blob we got here just last year. And I think it's great. I really do. There's not a lot to it, but I think it's just I think it's a much better representation of certainly the Blob I remember from the 80s and 90s, with the wrinkles and and just he looked more disgusting in this version. Not that the newer figure isn't great, but it's more of a modern take on the Blob where he's less disgusting looking. And I think this is just a perfect representation of the character. All right. Then we get to Bone Breaker. I'm not going to lie, Bone Breaker's legendary. That's a fantastic Build-A-Figure right there. The upper portion of the body is perfectly and beautifully articulated. The sunglasses, the mohawk, the gun. They retained all the articulation of a standard Marvel legend. And then he's got a tank body. Come on. How can you beat that? He's got a tank body with guns and gas tanks and all this stuff. It's awesome. I love it. It's a legendary figure. All right. Now we get to Caliban. I think Caliban is a great figure. Caliban is a very, very cool character from the comics, especially back in the 80s when I was reading X-Men and stuff. I love Caliban, and I think this is just a perfect representation. They've reused this body many, many times for many other characters, but I do not think it has worked any better than it worked here on Caliban himself. That's just my personal opinion. All right, now we get to the Falcon's wings. Come on, this is poop. Wings are the Build-A-Figure for an MCU Falcon? No, that's crap. That's a crap Build-A-Figure. It's not a Build-A-Figure. That's a build-an accessory. It's just stupid. Whatever. All right, Cassie Lang. Cassie Lang. She's got size, but again, it's an MCU, and I just don't like these. I think they're crap. I don't like that one. I didn't like that whole wave. I don't like that figure. Yeah, it's big, but that's it. Other than that, it's not a good figure. I'm sorry. Chode. I call him Chode. Some people say Chod or Chod or whatever. He's Chode. Come on, he's always been Chode. Chode from the Starjammers. I really like this figure. I recently finished this Build-A-Figure, and I love it. However, it was severely lacking paint, so I've got to put it in lacking. I did go ahead and do a wash on mine to make him look much better, but he's just a bright neon green. And while if he had better paint, he would certainly be solid, I'm going to put him here. I love him. I'm glad I have him, but I'm going to put him at lacking just slightly. All right. AOA Apocalypse. AOA Apocalypse is the best Apocalypse figure. Or excuse me, did I say Apocalypse? AOA Colossus. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. AOA Colossus is the best Colossus figure we have ever gotten out of Marvel Legends. I'm sorry. It's perfect. And it is so versatile in that you can do a lot with him and do head swaps and make a really great Colossus figure. I've got 3 of these guys. 2 done up separately that I've kit bashed as different versions of the standard Colossus, and then I just have 1 done up as the AOA Colossus. I think it is legendary. I think it is a fantastically, beautifully sculpted, painted figure. I think it's just fantastic. I love it. You may disagree, but I think that was a great, great figure. I think that whole wave was good, to be honest. All right, then we get to Controller here. I'm going to leave him at solid. It's a solid figure. It could use something, but I think it's done well enough. You know, I don't think it's lacking, but it's not great. So we're going to leave it at solid here. Cosmo. MCU Cosmo. No, it's Pope. I'm sorry. Cosmo's a mildly cool character in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, but, like, that's not a Build-A-Figure. Come on, it's a dog. That's an accessory. Whatever. All right, Crimson Dynamo. I really like this figure. I really, really do. I'm not the biggest fan. Hashtag not my Crimson Dynamo. I prefer the more classic Crimson Dynamo, just like what we saw that Marvel Select just released, which is a phenomenal figure. But putting that aside, I think it's a great Build-A-Figure. It's a great-looking steampunk version of the character. Even though it's not my favorite look for the character, I think it's a really, really well-done Build-A-Figure. I think and I think it's one of those ones that deserves to be a Build-A-Figure. All right, here we go. Moving right along here. Cull Obsidian. I would say, even though, again, not a fan of the MCU stuff, I think Cull Obsidian is a solid Build-A-Figure. It's a really good figure. I wouldn't say it's great or legendary, but it's really good. Like, it's a really, really solid, good Build-A-Figure, and I don't think it's lacking in any way, so we're going to leave it right there. Demogoblin. Again, great Build-A-Figure, solid across the board, but I'm going to let my bias show here. It's Spider-Man related, so I'm going to put him at great, because I really like this guy. The sculpt, the paint, the accessories, everything was really, really done well on this guy, and I love having him on my shelf. All right, Dormammu. Dormammu is solid, bordering on great. I think for the sake of argument, we're going to leave him at solid, but I could easily tip the scales into great if I wanted to. But I feel like great's kind of big at building up here just a little bit. So just for the sake of argument, we're going to leave him at solid. I think it's a really, really good Build-A-Figure that if you got it in your collection, you know how good this figure is. I think it's really well done. And I love these spare heads. I've used those for kit bashing like other Ghost Riders and stuff because it's a perfect Ghost Rider head. Anyway, moving right along here. Bro Thor sucks. We're just going to leave him at poop. I'm sorry, that didn't deserve to be a Build-A-Figure. It didn't even deserve to be a figure. Thor, fat Thor in a robe. Who wanted this? Who wanted this? Nobody. Moving right along here. Fin Fang Foom. All right. Older figure, to be sure. Less articulation, or more antiquated articulation. Anyway, but goddamn, is it legendary. That is a fantastic figure. I don't have this one. I wish I did. I can't afford it. It's too expensive. But it's a great, great legendary Build-A-Figure. And then, of course, that goes right into Galactus. Same thing here. This is legendary. This is top tier. This is best of the best of the best. The Toy Biz Galactus Build-A-Figure is absolutely phenomenal, hands down. No arguments or discussions about that. And then, again, moving right along, another one. Giant Man Build-A-Figure. Giant Man Build-A-Figure from the Toy Biz era is absolutely, hands down, a phenomenal, legendary figure. All right. Then we're moving back into MCU. We get to Ant-Man, the Ant-Man Build-A-Figure, that big one there. I think it's solid. Again, not a big fan of the MCU stuff, but I think it is a solid figure. I have this one. I like it. I think it's really well done. It's not great or anything, but certainly well done. I like it. I think we're going to keep it at that. Gilgamesh, MCU. It's just a dude. I mean, there's nothing Build-A-Figure-y about him. Like, I liked the character from the movie, even though the movie was awful and had so many problems. Like, Gilgamesh was a decent character in the movie. Nothing against him, but it's just another figure. Like, how is that a Build-A-Figure? It's just a regular, plain-sized character. So, no. All right, moving right along here, we've got Ultimate Green Goblin. This one I have a little bit of a hard time with because I know it's at least solid. It's a solid figure. It could be a great figure, but that may just be my Spider-Man bias talking. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's a solid figure. Look, there's nothing spectacular about him except that head sculpt, especially if you just kind of don't have the fire effects on him. He's just kind of a basic Build-A-Figure, but he's big, he's bulky, he's well done. I'm going to leave him at solid, but the argument could be made that he is actually great. Then we have Groot. I think Groot's really well done. I think, you know what, I'm going to put him at great, because I think it is a really, really good Groot. I think it deserved to be a Build-A-Figure. It's big enough. It's bulky enough. Absolutely, yeah. I'm sold. I'm sold. It's great. I like that one. It's great. Hitmonkey. Hitmonkey. We've got Hitmonkey here from the Toy Biz days. Poop. I'm sorry. It's poop. It's got crap articulation, and it's the size of an accessory. This is not a Build-A-Figure. I know a lot of people are like, but it's Hitmonkey. Yeah, I get it. But it's not a good Build-A-Figure. And that's the point. It may be a cool character that a lot of people wanted, but it's not a good Build-A-Figure. And that's kind of where we're at. All right, now we've got this version of Hobgoblin. I really like this version of Hobgoblin. I think this is a really, really, really well done Build-A-Figure, and I think it holds up, and I'm going to put him up in the Legendary. This kind of, and I forget, because that's not the standard Hobgoblin. I forget that character's name. But that's a really, really good figure. In fact, that's one I don't have that I really want to get added to my collection. So, you know, there you go. Then we've got Ragnarok Hulk. I think it's solid. I don't really have anything else to say about it other than that. It's a solid figure, but there's nothing spectacular about it. There are much better Hulk figures. There are much better, you know, kind of, you know, Gladiator Hulk figures too, like the Marvel Select one, which you can buy for less money and is a much better figure than this. And I know that's comic book versus MCU, but still, yeah, it's solid. So I guess we'll just leave it at that. Thorbuster Armor from the MCU, I do think is a great figure. Not quite legendary, but I do think it's great. I think it's very well done. Granted, the re-release in the 2-pack is better, which is the one I have. It's got better deco on it, better paint. But you know, same basic sculpt, same basic figure, and I think it is great. I think it's a really, really good figure. All right, moving right along, Hydro Stomper. I'm gonna be honest. I feel like Hydro Stomper is a little lacking, and I know some people may disagree, and it's newer and that kind of thing. But it's a decent sculpt, but I feel like it just needs something. I mean, I don't have it yet, and I would like to get it at some point, maybe. But I feel like it's a little bit lacking. There just seems to be something about it missing. I don't know what. I can't quite explain it. We've got the Ultron here from What If. It's lacking, I'll be honest. And I like the wave because I love the Marvel Zombies and that kind of stuff. And there's certainly, I think, some good figures in that wave. Not all of them, but at least half good. But the Infinity Ultron, it's lacking. It should have had a Vision face or swappable head or something in it. The weapon itself is not that good. It's lacking. Okay, let's just leave it at that. All right, now we've got Ironmonger. I think this, Ironmonger, is it solid or great? I think it's a really good figure. You know what? I'm going to edge it up. I'm going to say it's great. I'm going to say it's great. I'm going to say this Ironmonger, the original Ironmonger from back in the day, comic book Ironmonger, is a great figure. You know? All right, Joe Fixit. Joe Fixit. Hulk fans love this figure. I think it's solid. Yeah, I think it's solid. Joe Fixit. I know he's cut his head off there. Look at that. I hate to. I'm sorry for the poor quality content, but you guys know what I'm talking about here. Joe Fixit in his suit. I'm going to say it's solid. I don't think it's great, but solid, yes. All right, Jubilee. Again, poop figure. First of all, it's not even Jubilee's traditional costume. Second, it's just a regular figure. And I'm sorry, to be a quote-unquote Build-A-Figure, it's got to be something big and spectacular. There's not a big, spectacular figure that should have been a regular release. All right. Juggernaut. Juggernaut. I'm probably being slightly tainted by the fact that the Marvel Select is much better than this. This is certainly the best Toy Biz or Hasbro version of Juggernaut we've ever gotten. Is that Build-A-Figure. But I have a hard time saying it's great. Definitely solid. Definitely solid. But the Marvel Select version is so much better. It really taints my judgment on this one. So maybe I'm wrong, but there you go. All right, so then we got Khonshu. I think Khonshu is a really, really solid Build-A-Figure, to be honest. We're going to leave him right here. I think Khonshu from that Khonshu wave is really, really good. I'm trying to put them together right now. I'm missing a leg at this point. Sculpt is great. The paintwork is done really, really well on it. The head sculpt is good. It's a big figure. I like this one. I think it's really solid. Not great, but solid. All right. Moving right along here, we have Kingpin. I think this Kingpin figure is it great or legendary? I think it's the best Kingpin figure we've ever gotten, and I'm gonna let my Spider-Man bias show through. I'm gonna say it's legendary. I love this. I have this one. I think it's the hands down best Kingpin figure we have ever gotten. The only thing I don't like about him is he comes with the gray eyebrows, like he's older, and I get that, whatever, but you can easily fix that if you want with just a little bit of paint. All right. Speaking of poop, Korg. I just recently did a complete redo on this figure. It's a horrible, horrible figure. However, pretty easy to customize and make much, much better, which I'll do a video on that later. But it just out of the box, it's an absolute crap Build-A-Figure. So there you go. Kree Sentry. It's lacking, to be honest. I mean, it's okay, but I feel like it's lacking. I don't know. There's just something off about it. First of all, it doesn't feel big enough to be a Kree Sentry. The sculpt's there. The paint's not. I don't know. There's something about it for me that's just off on this Kree Sentry. All right, then we get to Lizard. I think this Lizard is absolutely legendary, hands down. I think he's the best Lizard action figure we have ever gotten. He looks amazing. Some people complain, oh, he looks too much like a dinosaur. But he's supposed to. That's what he looked like in the comics. I think too many people watched the Spider-Man animated series, which had a look for Lizard that goes back to like the Steve Ditko days, which I get and is great and classic looking and all that. But, you know, in the 80s and 90s when I was reading comics, this is what Lizard looked like, and he looks phenomenal. I think it's an absolutely legendary figure. All right. Let's see, what are we coming to next? Oh, M'Baku. M'Baku is solid. Is he solid? No. You know what? I'm going to stick to my guns here, and I'm going to try and be consistent. He's just a regular figure that eventually did get released, so I'm going to say he's lacking. I don't think he's poop, because I do think it's a good figure. But it's just a regular figure. Maybe should I be completely honest and just stick to my guns and say it's poop because it's just a regular figure? Yeah, I am. Because then they eventually released it as a regular figure. So yeah, it's poop. It's poop. Alright, so then we got Man-Thing. Man-Thing is great. Some people will argue and say, no, Man-Thing should be legendary. I get the argument. You can make the argument to me in the comment section down below. And you might convince me, because it is so close to being legendary. But for me, I'm going to leave it at great. Take that for what you will. I'm sorry if I have offended anyone. All right, Mandroid. Mandroid is another one that I think is great. I think this is a great Build-A-Figure. I love the accessories. I wish they would re-release it at some point. You know, single boxed, even as a deluxe figure, so you could, you know, army build these things. But as a Build-A-Figure, either way, that's my only complaint, is they're too hard to get and too expensive because it's just the Build-A-Figure. Because as a figure, it's absolutely amazing. I love it. All right, Mantis, another poop figure. It's MCU. It's a regular figure. Who cares? It's Mantis. Whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's no. I mean, what's the point? Mindless One. This is going to piss off a good friend of mine, but I think it's lacking. It's just kind of boring looking. It just looks like a magma-covered Juggernaut, which is okay, and I get that's what it's supposed to look like, but the lack of deco on this thing, and I get that's what it's supposed to look like, but it's just not an impressive figure to me. I think it's lacking. Like, I think it's a solid build, but I think that's it. So, yeah, I got to move on from that. Then we got MODOK. I think MODOK is definitely solid. I think they did a really good job with that. There have been some better versions of it that have come out, but still, I think it's solid. Same thing with Mojo here. Definitely a solid Build-A-Figure. In fact, to be honest, with Deco and Sculpt, I still like this one better than the new one that came out. Granted, the new one is bigger, and I understand why people like that one better. The sculpt and paint on this one is just, in my opinion, way better than the newer one. So, there you go. All right, Molten Man from the Spider-Man movie is crap. That's a crap figure. This is the dumbest looking version of Molten Man, and I get it. It wasn't supposed to really be Molten Man. You know what I mean? It was supposed to be like a hologram or whatever, but still, it's stupid. All right. Monster Venom. I think Monster Venom is legendary. I love this figure. I absolutely love this figure. And again, you see my bias here. Look at these last 4 right here. These are all Spider-Man characters. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, and I think this is one of the best Venom figures we've ever gotten. And I know it's not Eddie Brock Venom, this particular version of Venom, but I love that figure. I think it's a great, huge, bulky, just massive, almost kind of, yeah, I don't know. It's just great. I love it. I love it. All right, Mr. Hyde, I think, is a solid figure. The argument could be made for great. I don't know. Let me know in the comment section down below. I think it's just solid. You know, whatever. All right, we got Nemesis here. I think, again, Nemesis is solid, especially, you know, from when it came out back in early Hasbro days. I think it's... You know what? Never mind. I've changed my mind. I think it's a little bit lacking. It's still good. Like, if you have it, I think it's still a good figure to have in your collection. But I think it is a little bit lacking, perhaps. Maybe. I don't know. I'm going to piss some people off with that. Odin! Odin's good. It's a solid figure. I like Odin. I like that you can do either, you know, Odin, or you can do the Thor version of the character, whichever way you want to go with that one. I think it's done well. I do have this figure done up in both versions, although one version I'm missing a leg on him. But I do think it's a really good version of Odin. He's big, he's bulky. Could he have been a single card release? Yeah, he probably could have, but I'm okay with him being a Build-A-Figure, especially because that wave was fantastic. So I think they did a good job. Okoye! I love this character. It's the best character from either Black Panther movie, but it's poop. I mean, it's just a regular figure, and again, much like a lot of these figures here, they went on to release them single-carded later on, so what was the point? All right. Now we get to Onslaught. This version of Onslaught, anyway. This, I forget, because I wasn't reading comics at the time when this kind of buggy-looking of Onslaught came out. As a character, I don't care about it. As a figure, I think it's a cool-looking figure. It does lack in articulation. It's from the Toy Biz days. I know there's a lot of downsides to it, but I still think it's solid. Does that make sense? I think it's solid. Okay. Then we get to, I think this is Smart Hulk here. Smart Hulk's a solid figure. Probably not as big as he should be. Professor Hulk, you know, that version of Hulk, you know, it usually is a much bigger character in the comics, but I think it's still a solid figure. Then we get to Puck. Again, this is a figure that should not have been a Build-A-Figure. It should have been an accessory to another character. And while it's cool to have had him, I know I'd still need him for my Alpha Flight team. I mean, he's the only character I don't have for my Alpha Flight team, but it should not have been a Build-A-Figure. It's not a good Build-A-Figure in my opinion. Puff Adder, I think is solid. A lot of people love Puff Adder, and I know for Serpent Society and all that kind of stuff, like, you need him. I get it, whatever. But I don't think it's great. I think it's solid. The Brood. I'm going to put Brood at solid. Going back to the Toy Biz days, I think the Queen Brood, excuse me, not just the Brood, but the Queen Brood. I think it's a solid figure. I don't feel like it's lacking. It's got great sculpt, great paint. Articulation's a little older, but it's Toy Biz era, so I'm going to give it up for that. It's not great, but it's not lacking, so we're going to leave it at solid. Red Hulk. I think the Red Hulk is a great figure. This Red Hulk, this early Hasbro wave, even though the early Hasbro had a lot of problems, I love that figure. This was an era at which they were doing very stylized versions of characters. I don't know, he just looked very comic booky. He's got very comic booky proportions and sharp angles on his muscles and things, and I just love that look. I think it looks really, really good. Then we get to this version of Onslaught, the Magneto version of Onslaught, the version we all know and love. I think this is a legendary figure. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. I love this thing. I have this thing. I think it's one of the best Build-A-Figures that has ever come out, in my humble opinion. Then we've got Rhino. This is the Rhino Build-A-Figure. They did come out with a Rhino later on. I still think this one is absolutely great. I don't think it's quite legendary, but certainly better than solid. And I like this version better than the more classic retro-carded version we got later on. I like this with the 2 different heads, and I like the shoulder pads. I think it's absolutely great. All right, Rentra is poop. Let's just go through some of these real quick. Rentra is poop. Nobody cares about that character. Rocket should have been an accessory. It's poop. Nobody cares about that character. Then we get to Ronin, and I'm going to say, for the time, it was probably good, but in retrospect, it's a Pope action figure. I mean, it really, really is. So there's not really much to say about it. I mean, it's kind of cool, but it's not even really comic book accurate, and it's got awful articulation. So I'm leaving it at Poop. Sandman. Sandman, I think this is absolutely a great Build-A-Figure. You could even make the argument it is a legendary Build-A-Figure. This is the best version of Sandman we've ever gotten. I stick by that. I maintain that. And I think we'll leave it at that. All right, this version of Sandman, this Toy Biz era version of Sandman, this is a really expensive one. A lot of people have looked out for this one quite a bit. This weird, you know, Spider-Man 3 era thing. I'm gonna be honest, to me it's really, really lacking. I wouldn't put it at Poop level, but it's really lacking. Like, it's kind of a slightly articulated statue, and it's got a cool sculpt and everything, but that's about it. It is big, so I'll give you that, but I can't even call it solid. You know what I mean? Like, it's not even a solid Build-A-Figure for me. It's lacking. I get it. It's more rare, and it's sought after, so it goes for a lot of money, and some of you guys may disagree or whatever, but to me it's really lacking. It's not, honestly, it's not anything I would ever want on my shelf, unless, like, I just came across it, like, really, really cheap, then maybe I'd pick it up, but that's about it. All right. Then we've got Sasquatch. I think Sasquatch is a solid figure. I like this. I've got him on my shelf. I think it is a solid Build-A-Figure. Great sculpt, great paint, perfect representation of the character. If you need Alpha Flight on your shelf, you have to have Sasquatch here. All right, Sauron. I'm going to put him at great. I think this is a really, really, really good Build-A-Figure. Not quite legendary Build-A-Figure, but certainly phenomenal. I think it's really good there. Then we get to the Sentinel, and Sentinel it's great. Or excuse me, not even great. I'm trying to go up the top. Look, I'm running out of space here. The Sentinel is legendary, much like Apocalypse and Galactus and the original Giant Man. These are, in my opinion, legendary Build-A-Figures that deserve their status. They to this day are still some of the best Build-A-Figures that have ever come out, and they are pushing, 20 years old now at this point. So I think they deserve to be at the very tippy top. All right, Space Venom. Space Venom, I'm going to say, is solid. It's not great, but it's not lacking. It's like exactly what you would want for a Space Venom. I don't know how many people were wanting a Space Venom, but it's solid. It has been re-released as not a single card, but in a 2-pack since then. It's a good figure. It's a good figure. We'll leave it at that. SPDR, lacking. Do I really need to say more than that? It's lacking, okay? Stiltman. Okay, now, I'm going to put Stiltman as lacking because it fits in between solid and poop. Did you hear what I said? I said solid poop. No, it does. I can't put it at solid because it's just kind of a regular figure, but I can't put it at poop because it's a regular figure that comes with the ability to make him really tall. Like, you can keep buying the army builder from that wave and just get more and more legs to make him taller and taller and taller, which is kind of the point of Stiltman. So it's a cool gimmick. However, the figure itself isn't, like, great in any way, shape, or form. So I'm going to put him in the middle and say lacking. I can't put him at solid, and I can't put him at poop. So we're going to leave it at that. All right. Now we got Strong Guy. I would say Strong Guy is a great figure. It's actually a really, really good figure. I love this one a lot. This is one I don't have and I need for my collection. I think it's a great example of just like a Build-A-Figure that a lot of people want, a character that a lot of people like, a character that needs to be in a lot of people's collections. If you collect the mutants, if you collect the X-Men and X-Force and X-Factor and all that, you need a Strong Guy. I think this is a great Build-A-Figure. All right. Then, ooh, this one's gonna piss some people off. Sugarman. I put Sugarman at legendary. I know some people are like, what the hell is wrong with you, dude? I'm going to tell you what. I don't care so much about the character. I know who Sugarman is. I've read stories with Sugarman in it. I know who the character is. But the figure itself is phenomenal. I mean, this figure is like a perfect combination of sculpt and paint and articulation. They did such a great job on this dude with the huge head and the forearms and the tiny feet, and he's not awkward at all. Like, it is like damn near a perfect Build-A-Figure, even though like nobody really cares about the character itself. But I think it's just so well done that I got to put it here at legendary. I'm sorry, I just have to. All right, we're almost done, I swear. All right, now we get to Super Skrull. I think Super Skrull's great. Now, part of that may be biased because it's really the only big deluxe Skrull that we've gotten, but I think he's done well. Now we get to Terrax here. I think Terrax, I'm going to give him solid. Even though he's older, I still think it's a solid figure. I still think it's worth picking up. We've got the Thanos Build-A-Figure, comic Thanos Build-A-Figure. Again, I'm going to leave him at solid. I think it's a good figure. Well worth picking up and having in your collection. Although there are better versions that they released in 2-packs and as deluxes, but I still think this one's really good. Then we get the Infinity War or whatever version of MCU Thanos. I don't think it's poop, but I don't think it's solid. I think it's lacking, to say the least. Because honestly, this figure here, the armored Thanos, is better than this one, the one without the armor. And I've already got this one at lacking, so this one can't be better than that. All right, now we've got, why am I blanking on this dude's name? Void, sorry, Void. To me, it's lacking. I'm going to be honest, guys. This one doesn't do anything for me. Like, the only thing about it that I kind of like is it's got kind of some translucent plastic on it, which I do like that look. But the figure itself is not comic book accurate. I don't like the look for it. It just, I don't know. It completely falls apart for me outside of it's got some cool translucent plastic on it. That's really the only selling point to it for me. Watcher. This one's lacking. I mean, I like it. I think it's an okay Watcher, but I think the Marvel Select Watcher is way, way, way better. And I get it. This is a representation from the What If series, and I think it's a good representation from the What If series, but still, to me, it's kind of lacking. You know what I mean? It just is. Titus. I think Titus is a solid figure. I really do. I think Titus is a must-have if you have kind of a galactic Marvel character shelf. You need Titus there. You really do. I think it's a great figure. I think they did a really good job with him. All right, so now we've got Totally Awesome Hulk. To me, this one's lacking. I don't care about the Cho version of Hulk. Like, I know who the character is. I don't care about him. And the figure's not even done that well, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it's just lacking. It's not a good Hulk figure for me. Then we've got the Tri-Sentinel. I'm going to put the Tri-Sentinel at solid. I'll say solid. I think it's a good Build-A-Figure. I think it was a good choice for a Build-A-Figure, and I think it's done well, but it's not great or anything, but it's a solid build. Then we get MCU Ultron, lacking, hands down. This one's lacking. There's not really, there's not. I mean, it's fine, I guess, but certainly Deco could have been way better. The sculpt could have been better. Like it's definitely lacking there. All right. Now we're moving on to Ursa Major. I think Ursa Major is a great Build-A-Figure. Ursa Major, you know, if you've got your setup, whether it be, you know, Red Guardian and, you know, all the other characters from Winter Guard, like, you need this dude. And it's a great Build-A-Figure. Like, it really, really is. Well sculpted, well painted, great articulation. Really, really well done. All right. Venompool. Again, I'm going to say Venompool is great. I think it's really well done. I think they did a fantastic job on Venompool. Not really one. I haven't picked this one up. I think I got a couple of pieces to him, maybe an arm and a leg or something, because I did pick up a couple of the figures from this wave. But didn't, you know, it wasn't something that I needed to have in my collection. So even though I don't really care much about the character, I think it's a really, really well done Build-A-Figure. All right. Vulture's wings. Look, I love this figure, but again, just like with Falcon here, building wings is not a Build-A-Figure. That's a build-an accessory, and that's stupid. And even though I have this complete, and I love it, I cannot say this is a good Build-A-Figure. It's absolute poop. All right, so now we get to Zabu. Zabu. You know, I'm a sucker for animals. I haven't seen this one in person. I don't have this one yet. It's, I think, the newest Build-A-Figure we've gotten out. I think it looks well done. It's hard for me to determine. I want to put this at great, because I think it is probably great, but I have to be honest, I don't have this one. I haven't even seen it in hand in person. I've seen a couple of videos. It looks good, but for the sake of argument, to try and be unbiased, since I don't have any hands-on knowledge with it, I'm going to leave it at solid. If you have it out there and you think it's better than that, let me know in the comment section down below. All right, now we got to Zemu here. Zemu, honestly, Zemu's lacking for me. Zemu is lacking for me. It's just a weird character that I'm vaguely aware of who that character is, but I don't really care. Does that make sense? I think it does. It's just lacking to me. There's nothing special about that figure. It's reusing the, you know, some parts from the Sasquatch Build-A-Figure and throwing some other goofy stuff on it and make that character. Speaking of reusing Sasquatch stuff, we've got Wendigo here, and I'm going to put Wendigo at solid as well. I think Wendigo's well done. I mean, it is a lot of reuse from Sasquatch, but they're both good figures. But this one's well done, whereas Zemu was not. And then lastly, save the best for last. Save the best for last. We've got Warlock. All right. Warlock, if you watched my live chat from a couple of weeks ago, you know Warlock. New Mutants Warlock is absolutely hands down my favorite Build-A-Figure of all time. I don't know why. It just is. I love the character. I was a huge New Mutants fan back in the day. I read that comic as a kid in the 80s. I loved the New Mutants, and Warlock was my favorite character from the New Mutants team. And I think that Build-A-Figure, the sculpt, the deco, the paint, the articulation, the size, everything about it is absolutely perfect. So I've got to put it at legendary, hands down. And that's it. I think we've gone through all 96 or 98 Build-A-Figures. I don't know how long this took. But again, as I say, leave your comments down below as far as which ones are your favorites. Let me know what you think of this. Did I piss you off? Did I put some up here at legendary that you absolutely hate? Did I put some down here at poop that you absolutely love? Let me know in the comment section down below. But that is it. I just wanted to have some fun with you guys and rank all these and see where they fall. I appreciate you guys watching. And as always, please always remember to enjoy your collection.